Sometimes they're merely a footnote in the biography of a well-known character. Sometimes we may even see a blink or you miss it reference in the anime itself. So get into your Saiyan pods, everyone, because today we're going on a road trip. First, there is Planet Alpha, home of the Alpha Saiyajins. Let's call them the Alphians. That we saw in the Kibito Kai's flashbacks during Kid Buu's original Rampage. It was destroyed by the pink monster, obviously, because it's not around anymore. As we could see, it's a mostly rocky world covered by massive cities. Then we take a very quick trip to Universe 5 to see one of the God of Destruction planets. This one belongs to the God of Destruction Uruk. It seems to be more swampy than Beerus's, and has a little bit of an Aztec voodoo aesthetic, obviously, which is present in the design of the deity himself. Next, there is a well-known world for everyone who has watched Dragon Ball Z, and its filler, Planet Alia, the planet of the bug people, where Vegeta still had red hair. And never again. It seemed to be in a pretty poor shape, borderline post-apocalyptic, when we first saw it, ruled by a tyrannical king. And our Saiyan duo liberated it, only to, get rid of the problem permanently. Even if it comes from the anime filler, it is rather iconic in of itself because people sort of remember it. Then there is Babari, a planet which had a lot to do with Zamasu's downfall, as he was disgusted with the savagery of the locals. Apparently, it was also used by Fu as part of his prison planet scheme, you know, the whole 7 planets chained together, short of Deely in Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Next is Planet Bus, which is the homeworld of the Booleans. Wait, who are the Booleans? They are the kinsmen of Goldo, of course, so yeah, his race actually had a name. What is interesting is that we know that the planet also exists in Universe 11, as it was attacked by none other than Choki, an antagonist from Dr. Slump of all places. Luckily, it was stopped by Jiren, and the planet was saved. I mean, I guess it was Jiren. Then there is also Planet Beans, the homeworld of Razin and Lacasse, who are long extinct and had to be revived from fossils by Turles. All praise the Lord Helix! Other gods of destruction, such as Beerus and Belmod, also have their own planets. We do know Beerus's planet with the giant tree quite well because you see it all the time. We've been there pretty often. But Belmod's place, though, that's a little different. It resembles a gigantic, surprise surprise, circus, surrounded by palm trees of all things, with clown attendants and a little bit more, decadent. Next up, Planet Cereal, currently inhabited by the Shigerians. We know it rather well because it comes from the latest arc of the manga, well, the most recent completed arc of the manga, and mostly remembered for the destroyed bits. Cerealians had somewhat of a unique architecture, and it was slightly yellowy with hints of purple about it. We also have then 3 planets belonging to Cooler. Cooler 6, that's Zolt, Cooler 98, Brench, and 256, Beppa. The ownership of one of those planets is sort of debatable. They are the homeworlds of Nais, Salza, and Dore, the Cooler Squadron. Out of those 3, Brench seems to be the most fleshed out, as it's also the birthplace of Jace and Borneo. And in materials outside of the movies, it's actually believed to be said to be ruled by Frieza. So there's a little bit of contention there about who owns what. Then there's a planet called Cretaceous, which is a dinosaur planet from GT, named after, obviously, the Cretaceous period in history. Another planet that was defended by the Pride Troopers in the anime version is called Planet Daldon. It was attacked by Aragne. Speaking of Aragne, the monster was ordered by a Dorakian from planet Dorakia. There's also planet Eros, which, according to Mr. Popo, was destroyed by an evil dragon due to the overuse of their Dragon Balls. So it's another implication that there were more Dragon Balls scattered throughout the universe, not just on Earth, Namek, or Planet Cereal. There is no fake Namek. Moving on. There are also multiple Frieza planets. Frieza Planet 17 houses the headquarters of the Frieza Force. Frieza Planet 79 is where Vegeta regained his strength after his fight with Goku on Earth during the Saiyan Saga, and of course when he had his little chit-chat with Kui. And Frieza Planet 448 revolted during the events of Resurrection F, though we do not know if the post-Tournament of Power Frieza decided to pay a visit and get it back. Its fate remains unknown. Next on the list is planet Gelbo, which is pretty seismically active. It was the planet where Goku, Pan, and Trunks encountered Tsunama, the catfish thing, you know, the one that supposedly caused earthquakes, but it turns out he actually just guessed them. Then there's planet Glass, the homeworld of Lags and Vidro from Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I still attest that Lags is one of the few people out there in Dragon Ball that could have killed Goku. Also, Glass Dragon. And hey, and as for Vidro and Yamcha are solid. Then there's the Grand Kai's planet, which is pretty chill, man. We know it from the filler arc of the Otherworld tournament, but it was also present in GT. In the original Dragon Ball, Heaven also counts as a planet. It's the place for people who have done good deeds, but not quite enough to keep their bodies in their afterlife, so sort of the step below what Goku and most of the Dragon Team get. It is similar to the Greek Asphodel Fields. Dabura resides there as a form of ironic punishment. There is also planet Hera, home to Bojack and his crew. They are the last known survivors of it, although some versions of stories do suggest they may actually have been the ones responsible for its destruction. Either there's been a bad deal gone wrong, or they just got bored of it. There is also an unnamed planet that was destroyed by Beerus in the manga. Those bug people really don't have much luck in this franchise, do they? Because there's also planet Ikonda, home to Cacao, and a place where he was upgraded into his semi-robotic form, the cyborg state that we see in the Turles movie. We know that it was involved in some sort of interstellar war, but the details once again remain a bit muddy. There is also Imeka, a desert planet under the leadership of Don Qi. That was the first stop on the Grand Tour in order to collect the Black Star Dragon Balls. Probably one of the most recognizable GT planets because it was the first one, and most of you were probably just about hanging in there. Then there is also planet Yung, a planet rich in sky gold, where the Macareni gang was captured by a team led by Miris. If you're not sure what sky gold is, it's basically what Dragon Ball Super constitutes as the most valuable material in the universe. Now, it would be a mistake to not mention Kaishin, the core world, known to be the home world of all Kaioshin, or the sacred world of the Kais. But it's not to be confused with the sacred world of the Kais. That one is completely different. But this one is densely populated by kaiju trees that give birth to all the Kaioshin, good or evil. Now, speaking of the sacred world, it is located in the other world proper. It flourishes with life and has several moons, although the intelligent population is rather limited and yeah, I mean, it's got Shin on it. If you remember Dice from Turles' crew, he used to be the prince of the Pukimpa dynasty on the planet Cabocha. We actually refer to it in the Turles Turn Good What If. Then there's planet Kanasa, and you probably know this one from the important fact of their inhabitants. They could see the future! Then there's King Cold's planet, or Cold Planet 1, where Daddy Dearest takes his Namek damaged son and rebuilds him. Seems to have a top-notch laboratory sort of feel, like it's the hospital planet. Also, while it's very small, it is still a planet, King Kai's planet. We all know and love it. Why it's so small? Well, it used to be a whole lot bigger, but about 320 years ago or so, Beerus challenged King Kai to a racing game and lost, and took his frustration out on it. Then there is planet Konats, the home world of Tapion, his brother, and origin place of Hirudegarn. Quite possibly one of the scariest baddies in all of Dragon Ball Z, especially the first form. During his search for Goku, Vegeta has visited many planets. One of those was quite lit, because it was called Planet Lit. I know, cringe away. The prince killed many Frieza lackeys there. Then there's planet Lude. And no, it's not as lewd as you think, because it's the main base of the Lude cult, which was secretly ruled by the machine mutants. And speaking of them, planet M2, the official main base of Dr. Mew, the Jiro lookalike, and also the home planet of Giru. Its original inhabitants were destroyed by the Good Doctor, or the other Good Doctor, and his army. It's also linked through its functions to General Vlildo. Dr. Mew has a smaller sanctuary located near M2, where he works on his greatest creation, aka Baby. It is simply called Mew's Planet. Then there's this guy I keep hearing about called Garlic Jr., and he supposedly came from a world called the Makio Star, which would be destroyed during his saga by Gohan, if such a saga even existed. But mind you, this pattern's very familiar. On one of the supermarkets near my house, there's actually graffiti put on the red light, and it glows similar to that pattern. So every time I've done the shopping, I come out of it, I just think, hey, that's the Makio Star, nice. Then there's Bardock, who will forever remember Planet Meat, where his squad lost against Dodoria, rendering him as the only survivor. Planet Mars is a fun one, as its inhabitants appear in Gogo Akman by Akira Toriyama. We also see a Martian owner of a ramen shop called Pops in Super, who seems alike to those from Akman's Adventure. We also know of Metamor, but outside of the fact that the Metamorans have developed the fusion dance, nothing else about them has been revealed on their world. Shame. Really could have done with some more information about them. Then there's planet Morgina, which was another victim of Beerus' short temper. A similar fate doomed planet Monza, planets Namchek, Namchino, and Name. They were all mentioned by King Kai when he was first talking about Lord Beerus, when he was looking for Namek in his planetary address book. The nameless planet is somewhat interesting, despite having no name, as it's floating between Universe 6 and 7, and that was the place that housed the tournament in the Universe 6 saga. In reality, it's basically just a 4-star Super Dragon Ball in disguise, because of course, it's the 4-star one. Nephthys, not Netflix, is the planet housing one of the Pride Trooper bases in Universe 11. Planet Nuts, Planet Nuts, it houses one of the Galactic Patrol's prisons. This particular one held Amond, the right-hand man of the mighty Turles, before he was freed by the Saiyan. Planet Octo is the home planet of the Octo race. They appeared in Jarko's manga, but to the Dragon Ball fans, the most well-known Octo being out of all of them is of course the Galactic King. Don't touch his tendrils, you might pick the wrong one. There is also Planet Pital, you know, like a hospital, eh? The group had their first proper encounter with Baby there. There is also Polaris, another GT planet, a very cold world where the 2-star Black Dragon Ball was residing. 2 planets with particularly weird frogs are Planet Manu, they apparently have strawberry-like brains, and Popol, golden yellow droppings. Yeah. Also everyone's favourite planet, Patofu! Yeah! That was fun! It was rumoured to hold the superhuman water, but in reality, there is only a deadly weapon there called Komason that can absorb a person's power and create a jelly-like facsimile of them. The GT crew visited planet Reduze, where Giru saved Pan from Scorpulon. It's also where the 5-star Black Dragon Ball was located. There is also, of course, planet Sadala. It existed in Universe 7, but it was destroyed by the Saiyans themselves in a galactic war. Though the extent of the destruction is up for debate to be definite. We're more accustomed to the Universe 6 version, which is still around and far more peaceful, where the Saiyans there are like sort of a galactic police thing, but not the Galactic Patrol. We hear of a mention of planet Sote, the homeworld of Grill and his gang. You know, the gang who wanted the power of the water of Patofu. Actually, I mean, we don't blame you if you don't remember the details outside of Brian Drummond being in it. The original Broly destroyed a lot of planets in Universe 7, and a galaxy, with the most notable one being planet Shamo, home of the Shamotians. You know, the ones that Paragus sort of enslaved, and maybe you might have a different memory of them from DBZA. Then there is planet Sheik, the last world conquered by Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. Also the aptly named planet Slug, where, as you guessed it, Lord Slug was sent as a baby and conquered it. There is also a very tasty sounding planet called Snack, the lion-like fellow who wanted to test Hercule's power. Champa and Beerus both love their version of planet Sweets, existing in both of the universes and known for, you guessed it, candy, or sweets. Even more on the nose than the Dino planet that we talked about earlier. We also know that at some point, Saiyans captured a planet named Tazba. King Vegeta was asking about its status in Frieza's presence. There is also planet Tegere, where one of the Black Star Dragon Balls landed on. That was the place where Goku had to fight a giant tiger, obviously, because the planet is called... never mind. There are also some footnote planets such as Torokama, which Vegeta and the original Broly visited on a wild goose chase to find the legendary Super Saiyan, tricked by Paragus of course, as well as Tawale, a planet that housed the Galactic Prison in Universe 11. Nappa mentions a place called Tritech as the place that his particular batch of Cybermen had recently survived on. Then there's Wagashi, the homeworld of Onaka, although we don't really know if he's really a hero there or just another guy. Planet Zune, oh that's a classic one. It's the birthplace of Pui Pui. We see it first during Vegeta's fight with him, and later in the manga as Moro decided to land there and let off some steam and have some lunch, and the lunch being the planet. And finally, there is Zuno's planet, which looks rather wacky, to be honest. Its master also seems rather unorthodox and kind of creepy. There are of course other unnamed worlds of those that are barely a footnote, but these are the ones that have at least some kind of information or context. We also excluded some more of the well-known ones because that list would have been even longer. Which one would you like to see explored more in the future? Be sure to let us know, and until next time, I will see you in the next video. Catch you later!